Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Eula Woodyard McKown. Now we're going to be discussing her incredible book, A Girl's Road Trip from Texas to Prince Edward Island. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's a lot of other places, man. This is one you're definitely going to want to add to your shelf. Before I go any further, I want to quickly point out the fact that she was brought to us by Author Reputation Press. So for writers out there listening in, if you've gone through your process and now you're like a deer caught in headlights. You don't know where to go. You need help moving that book you just developed. Head on over to authorreputationpress.com and gather all of the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Eula here on the line. Man, have you ever felt that restless itch for an adventure that feels like it's just out of reach? Okay, what if you packed up your best friends, pointed the car north, and you drove all the way from the heart of Texas to the red shores of Prince Edward Island? Okay, that's a very specific journey. But follow me here, because you all understand where I'm going. Bottom line is, we've all had that itch, that yearning to just scratch, to get out of the day-to-day monotony that we found ourselves in. But how many of us actually take that leap? How many of us actually go for it? Well, sit back and strap in, man. This is a wonderful journey that not only is entertaining, but it just may give you that extra push to branch outside of your box and go on that adventure, right? Or for those of you that aren't able to actually travel, this book is going to give you a vision of what it was like for these amazing women. Sit back, strap in, and get ready for a wonderful ride. Eula, first and foremost, welcome to the network, and thank you for being a guest. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Of course. Eula, listen, it's a pleasure to have you here with us. I think your book is something astounding and something that a lot of people yearn for, and not many do. So we're looking forward to the discussion. First and foremost, before we go into the book and this specific journey, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I'm a retired teacher. I taught for 29 years in public schools and traveled during the summer. My mother gave me the urge to travel. We visited an aunt who lived close to Louisiana, and when we left her house, my mother said she was going to drive into Louisiana so that she could say she'd been in another state. And I believe that that was one of the reasons I have enjoyed traveling so much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, let's jump into the book, A Girl's Road Trip. Tell us a little bit more about it.
I attended conferences at the Federal Reserve Bank in Dallas because I taught economics, and they suggested that we might have a conference in Boston. And so I asked friends if they wanted to go to Boston one summer. The conference did not happen, but Vicki, one of the friends on the trip, said that she had a conference to attend in Boston. So we decided to make the road trip around her conference in Boston. And we all liked Anne of Green Gables. And so we decided that we wanted to go to Prince Edward Island to see the home of Lucy Maud Montgomery, because she had written Anne of Green Gables books. And that's how the trip got started.
So now we know the precipice for the actual trip. Talk to us now about how this book came to fruition. Why did you feel compelled or inspired to write it?
I'm not sure why I did it, because I'm not one to make good notes, but on that trip, I became the unofficial person to get rooms for us. rent the rooms for us and so forth. And each day I wrote notes about what we had done that day. And when I got home, I decided there were 4 of us on the trip, and I decided to write my notes and make copies for the other 3 women so they would have the story also. And that's what I did. And I was still teaching in 2000. And one day at lunch, I was talking about, I guess this was after 2000, I was talking about the book and what I had written, and a friend asked me if she could read it, and I took it to her, and she read it, and when she gave it back to me, she said, I couldn't put it down until I finished it.
Wow.
And so from that, I thought it might be worth having it published. And so I started working on it that way. And one of the things about the trip is we had one reservation other than Vicky's reservations in Boston, and we ended up changing that reservation. And I've always traveled without making precise destinations for each day so that I can enjoy the scenery along the way. And that's the way we traveled on this trip, and found more things than we ever imagined that we would find.
Well, listen, let's go into the specific journey, and we'll touch up on some of the things that you found in a moment. But what I'm really curious about now is, listen, I think anybody who has ever gone on a road trip, there's a challenge, right? It's not just the trip itself with regards to the destination and the locations that you come across, but it also has a lot to do with the other passengers on that trip. And especially when you're driving, right? It's one thing to do it on a flight where things are much more expedited, but taking a road trip, and a road trip of this magnitude, man, it's almost like a pressure cooker for relationships. I want to know, how did the dynamic of the 4 of you change as the geography changed? Like, what were some of the things that you found yourselves coming across, having to balance out different personalities and different wants and needs? Talk to us about that a little bit more.
Vicky, we had met, her sister went through college with my sister and me, and Vicky we knew because of her sister, and the other woman was a friend of mine, and I decided to ask her if she wanted to go also, and not realizing that she was a morning person and my sister and I are night people, and Vicky turned out to be a night person too. And that was really the only challenge. Lynn was ready to stop at 6 o'clock at night, and we would travel until late at night. And so she wasn't too happy that she was with 3 night people and she was a morning person, but it worked out. We managed to find motel rooms that were large, and we didn't have to worry about sleeping with someone that we didn't want to sleep with. Mm-hmm. Since my sister and I are twins, we grew up sleeping in the same bed, and so that never bothered us. But we found rooms that had at least 2 beds in it, and sometimes 3 beds. It was interesting, and we enjoyed figuring out where we were going to spend the night and what kind of room it was going to be. And we had some very pleasant experiences.
You're going to have so many pleasant experiences while you're reading the book. Remember, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. Pick up copies of A Girl's Road Trip from Texas to Prince Edward Island today. Border outside of the confines of your home. Embark upon this journey and set up your own to go on next, because I promise you, man, this is going to inspire you to do some things. My follow-up question now that I want to go into here, Eula, listen, traveling along the path in which you all went, you're going to be hitting some obvious tourist attractions, right? Some mainstream, some iconic states and cities, right? Of course, everybody knows New York. You mentioned Boston. These are some places where, again, they're more universally recognized. But also at the same time, you're going to be traveling through some places that maybe a lot of times people drive right on through. Now, all right, I'm going to say it here. People, you already know I'm a New England boy, born and raised. I lived and grew up in Rhode Island. Now, for the past almost 20 years, I've called Los Angeles home. but I'm always a New England boy, born and bred first and foremost. And I'll be the first to say it. Rhode Island generally is one of those places people are just passing on through. You know, it's not an iconic state like New York or something, right? Like, you're not going to stop there and take it all in. You should. It's a beautiful place, very small, but you get what I'm saying here. Eula, I want to know from you, large iconic states aside, was there a particular location? Was there a particular place that maybe wasn't necessarily on the itinerary, but you're so glad you stopped there because, my goodness, there was something about it that was memorable, it was remarkable, and was really something that you really appreciated taking in?
You talking about Rhode Island. We had not planned to go to Rhode Island. Vicki was at her conference in Boston. My sister and Lynn and I went to Cape Cod.
There you go.
And when we stopped somewhere, we talked to a woman, and she told us that we should go on to Rhode Island. So we spent one night in Cape Cod, and then the next day, instead of just driving around Cape Cod, we drove to Rhode Island and enjoyed it and toured the breakers there, which we had toured a Vanderbilt home in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so touring the breakers was really interesting for us because we had seen the other Vanderbilt home.
Yeah.
And I also taught world geography, and I enjoyed geography. And I enjoyed going into Rhode Island, and I could say I'd been to that state. And it's such a small state that I enjoy seeing it because Texas is so large that the distance we traveled to New York was probably about the same distance if you travel from east to west in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy for us to see more states on the trip because of the size of the state.
Love it.
And I have always enjoyed traveling, seeing different places, taking my time, and just exploring whatever I saw that I wanted to explore.
Thank you very much, Eula, for going into that. And listen, I'm very familiar with the Breakers. You're talking about the mansion there in Newport, a beautiful place. If you ever get the opportunity for my listening audience here, listen, Rhode Island has a lot to offer. It's such a beautiful, quaint little place, man. It has a lot of beauty to offer. But Newport, Rhode Island is gorgeous. So much happening there. If you can catch it in the summer, you got the beach down the road, get some clam chowder, and check out some of the mansions, man. Go and do some tours there and get a slice of history as well. As we start to close out of here, Eula, I'm curious. Listen, I know what I've been saying and what I think people can take from the book, but what are you hoping? Is there a message? Is there a feeling? Is there something you're wanting your readers to take after they've closed the book, they finish that final sentence? What are you wanting to last with them? What are you wanting your readers to take with them?
I hope that they will feel like they have been on the trip also. I have been told that by a number of people that they felt like they were with us on the trip when they read the book. And I have one friend who told me years ago that she would like to travel with me because she always wants everything planned, where she's going to spend the night and what she's going to do and everything. And she would like to once travel without having reservations and knowing where she's going to stop for the night. And that's the way I have always traveled, is just going and deciding where to stop, what I wanted to see, and not worry about being somewhere at a certain time.
Yeah. Listen, people, I'm going to say it again. Remember, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, okay? I just want to give a huge thanks to Eula for sharing such a personal, joyful story with all of us. And for everybody else that's listening in, man, if this conversation hits home, share this episode with the friend that you'd call for your own road trip, okay? Because this is your ticket to that journey. This is more than a book. It is an invitation to believe your own adventure is possible. You got to pick it up. It starts with reading the book, but it culminates in designing your own itinerary. And remember, listen, man, sometimes the best destinations, they're not just places, they're states of mind. And some of the best experiences are going to be shared with the people that are closest to you, whether it's a significant other, a family member, or even some of your best friends. Head on out, pick up copies of this book, plan your trip, and get it going. All right, Eula, this has been an absolute pleasure. Such a delight traveling down memory lane with you. And thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.